Hello, it's Mark Serwotka, the General Secretary of PCS, and I'm bringing you a latest update on behalf of your National Executive Committee on things that have been happening around the Union. First of all, can I say at these very difficult times that I hope you and your family are keeping safe and well. And I want to assure you that your union continues to raise with your employer and with the Cabinet Office on a very regular basis our ongoing concerns to ensure all members are kept safe. So our 5 tests are very much now up and running. We've put those to the Cabinet Office and to your employer, and we're now asking all of our members and our local reps to ensure that you and your workplace or your individual circumstance meets the 5 tests. So obviously that means if you can work from home, you should be working from home. You should only be in a workplace if you're doing essential work. That workplace must be safe, full social distancing, access to PPE, but that also the employer must undertake individual assessments for all of our members to ensure that your individual circumstances are catered for and that you are safe. And on that, let me say, at a time when the Black Lives Matter movement has dominated the airwaves due to the horrific murder of George Floyd in America, this is a good time to remind ourselves that as a union, we stand for full equality and against all forms of discrimination, and in this case, particularly with Black Lives Matter, any racial discrimination. And to that end, I think we should all take stock, and we've recently met the employer to point out that members of the BAME community are 4 times more likely to die from COVID-19 than people who are white. And these issues mean that extra provisions must be put in place to ensure all our BAME members feel that they are safe. So we've raised this with the Cabinet Office. I've just done an excellent Facebook Live event with our national black members in order to talk direct to people who have individual concerns. And let me say, whether you're a BAME member or anyone else, if you have a concern about your safety, contact the union and we will take that up on your behalf. I also want to draw attention to another campaign that we've launched in the last week. And that's a campaign called Dying for Sick Pay. If you're watching this and you work in the private sector, then you will be all too familiar with the fact that your employer, particularly if you work as a cleaner, a security guard or in catering, does not give you full pay when you are sick. Now, we forced them during the COVID crisis to ensure you are paid 100% in the majority of the private sector employers. But now we know they're intending to go back to the bad old days where you'll only get statutory sick pay. That's unacceptable. Whether you work for a private contractor or you're a public sector worker, you're working for government, and if you're sick, you should get 100% sick pay. Asking people to survive on £19 a day is unacceptable and leads to people turning up to work when they are ill. So it's another example of the union trying to stand up for all members, whether in the public or private sector. And again, I'd urge you to get behind that campaign to ensure that we get justice for all of our members in terms of sick pay and other terms and conditions. Now, let me now move on to an issue that you constantly tell us in all of our surveys is of concern to you, and that is about your pay and your pension and your future security. Based with 88% of you in a survey telling us the union should campaign harder for fair pay and for decent pensions, we have been in correspondence and have again this week met the Cabinet Office to tell them that our pay claim for 10% for all of our members is made because it represents only half of what many of you have lost over the last decade, wherein every year our pay has not kept pace with inflation. So this year, we've told the government that their efforts to restrict our pay to between 1.5% and 2.5% is completely unacceptable. And I'm pleased to tell you that in the next couple of weeks, we will be backing up our national pay campaign by launching a national government petition aimed at getting 100,000 signatures, forcing a parliamentary debate, and in so doing, raising with members, the public and politicians why, as key workers, people who are keeping this country running, we cannot no longer accept a situation where we always lose pay in real terms, and many of us are on poverty pay, indeed 12,000 members in one department alone, on the national minimum wage. So when we launch the petition, please make sure you sign it, get your colleagues to sign it, and make it clear this is the year we must get justice on pay. Also, we need justice on pensions, and I'm pleased to now confirm that our legal case, supported by 20 other unions, of which we are one of the 4 key unions, has now been submitted to the court to force the government to give us back what we are overpaying on pensions every month, 2%. That legal case has now been submitted. We await a court date, and we hope that we can get justice in the courts to begin to get you the fair treatment on pensions that you deserve. And that leads me therefore to my final point. The government recently responded to our demand to stop redundancies by saying departments now had to reach a much higher bar to consider giving anybody their notice. Well, I'm afraid to say that the very first test of that in our HMRC department, the employers are failing that test. HMRC have announced in the last week their intention to proceed with 2,000 people being covered by a redundancy programme. This is madness. Everyone knows we need more civil servants, not less. Everybody knows now that people forced with losing their job because their office might close has shown they can work from home or more flexibly, and nobody who wants to stay should be forced to lose their job. So we've raised that with government, and we are raising that with HMRC management, and we are saying to them, as we are to all employers, no one who wishes to stay in the civil service at the moment needs to lose their job. Employers must reconsider, and we are determined to hold the government to the pledge they made, which is that no redundancy should take place if there are opportunities for people to be redeployed. So that's an update of what we're doing on your behalf. Your NEC meets next week, and we'll be issuing lots of more information about our 5 tests, about our pay petition and ongoing campaigns. So thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, share it with your colleagues, and make sure also that if you've got colleagues who are not members, you urge them to join PCS, because together we can get fair pay, fair pensions and a safe future. Thanks very much.